We're live.
Boys and girls, welcome back to the Suck It Up podcast. I believe this is podcast number 6 or 7.
Honestly,
Yeah, we haven't done a podcast since we reviewed the Spartan 300.
I thought we've only done like maybe 4.
Well, we did 3 in one night with the tactical beard. So this is Mike Papaquilo signing on. I'm going to have to do the shameless plug of sponsors here and enjoy the images on the screen because I do enjoy putting these memes together for you. But we've got potential new sponsor. I'm not going to name drop them yet, but bullet sponsors are the best. And speaking of bullets, SG Ammo. Ammo sponsors are nice. Newest sponsor of Diamondback. Really awesome pistol. Never shot an AR pistol with any experience, but it was a lot of fun. Got to do the 500 round burn down yet, though. That's going to be a good time.
The classic torture test.
Yep. And Head Down Arms. Pretty awesome guys. We broke their very expensive gun, though.
Well, I mean, someone's got to do it.
Yep. We're good at it. And one more sponsor would be Stuger, as the rednecks call Stoger. Because
Pronounced phonetically.
yeah, words are hard. So, this podcast, I was going to do a little more preparation for it, but I'm really good at winging things, so I think we're going to wing it.
I'm pretty good at winging things too. So
I mean, look at our jobs.
we don't do anything.
Just wing it. So, having shot USPSA continuously for 4.5 months now, I want this to be like an introductory video on the 5 basic fundamentals you think someone needs to either start or continue their USPSA career.
Ooh.
Because we just both got done reading the Beyond Fundamentals book by Ben Steger, which is actually supposed to be pronounced Stuger. Funny enough.
Don't have a cow.
A vaca.
Where is that book? That'd be
It should be right up there.
Beyond Fundamentals. Honestly,
Right next to the Brian Enos book that I'm reading, which is substantially larger and more words.
yeah. Honestly, after reading that book, I don't think I could recommend a better book for beginners into the sport.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Other than Dry Fire or Dry Fire Reloaded.
yeah. Well, I think anyone going into USPSA has probably shot a little bit more. I'm not necessarily.
We
chuckled.
were not enlightened with the fundamentals we actually needed with pistols, like, at all.
Yeah, and to the 10 people listening to this,
That's generous.
the best thing that you could do, honestly, is just start with correct everything. I mean, if you read that book and followed it to a T, I honestly think that would be a great place to start because
I need to buy his other books because that book left out a lot of the basics. There weren't a whole lot of images for people to reference because if anyone who shoots USPSA is like us, is they need, well, that's how I learned to shoot was YouTube. I just watched people do it. And it needs more image reference because the way he mentioned some things, I mean, we understand it because we've seen it 100,000 times and we've researched it. I mean, I've researched the dog shit out of it, but it really doesn't do it justice. So I want to read Dry Fire and Dry Fire Reloaded to see if that gives a better foundation because he recommends reading those books before Beyond Fundamentals.
they're not honestly too expensive and they're not hard to read. There's obviously some concepts that you could trip up if terminology wise, if you're not familiar with like calling your shots or, I mean, anything else, just
Even the basics.
yeah. So, and he, much like any engineering mindset or book ever written is once you explaining it or an acronym.
I think he's actually technically retarded.
Really?
From listening to podcasts, like especially, I mean, he plays himself down because he doesn't want to be too egocentral, but you know, he likes to fluff himself every once in a while. But he's a winner, so I mean, more power to him. I mean, he's an international champion.
Yeah, but being good at something doesn't mean that you're a good teacher at things. But for me, I don't like seeing a wall, like a really thick book, like, oh, you just got to get through this whole book and understand everything in it and you're fine. I read that book in maybe 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, it took me 2 nights.
Exactly. Of very
And I haven't read a book in 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Reading is awful.
Except for the stupid textbooks we had to read in engineering school.
Those can be fun if, depending on how you and when you use them, but when we used them and how we used them was not fun. So
I think mechanics and materials and thermodynamics were fun. Everything else was garbage.
I enjoyed heat transfer a lot. It really made just the simplest sense.
Once you got through a decent thermo background, yeah, that book didn't suck. But anyway, 5 fundamentals. I'm going to let you start with what you think the number one fundamental, because, I mean, I'd love to just drag this podcast out on and have it be a whole big cliffhanger, but I want you to pick one, and then we'll cascade down back and forth.
Is this the most important or just the first one?
The most important to shooting sports or practical shooting in general, because all the shooting sports, whether it's steel challenge, we can add IDPA, even though it's not that great, or Bianchi. It's pretty meh.
I've never
bullseye.
heard of that.
The Bianchi Cup, it's like Pro-Am. It's its own little sect. There's the NRA World Shoot. There's the Pro-Am World Shoot, and there's all sorts of them. But they all come down to fundamentals. So just any shooting fundamental, or one that's you think is specific to practical shooting, which I think they're all pretty specific to practical shooting.
Yeah, my number one is going to be trigger control. Being able to, and we saw that yesterday. We were like 10 yards away. I couldn't hit
Not even 10.
center. Like I couldn't hit a centered shot with my left hand shooting a pistol.
Yep.
And there was someone that never shoots left-handed. It wasn't terrible, but with obviously some dry firing and really working on it, because I just have never expected to be able to use the left hand, and now we're entering a stage where that's going to be part of the classifier, or a classifier at one of these stages. So
Yep.
regardless, grip's important, everything else is important, but if you can't pull that trigger and know that, like he describes it in his book as like a laser beam, like wherever that laser beam is pointing, you want to be able to get shots downrange. So if you can't pull the trigger correctly, you're never going to hit your target.
And just for reference, don't ever put a laser light on your gun. They're dumb. And they're not good training aids, because one of the concepts of basic fundamentals, well, more advanced fundamentals really, of pistol shooting is calling your shot for a competition. The laser light is just making you target focus and lose sight of what you're actually trying to do. But anyway,
Never even thought of that.
the lasers are garbage. Like all those training tools that shoot lasers, I thought about getting one. And then I remembered, I listen to Ben's podcast every day at work. I'm so pampered. All I have to do is sit behind a desk and write programs and listen to Ben Steger's podcast all day.
I have to lean behind a desk.
But yeah, the number one fundamental I would have to mention would be trigger control, because you can be an old grandma with a little Smith & Wesson J frame and be able to squeeze the trigger with little grip strength, but as long as you don't over grip and flinch, you can put that shot where it needs to go. Now, the recoil management may suck.
Yeah.
The follow-up shot will suck, but Granny's going to get that first shot on target.
And kind of a little add-on to trigger control would be not just it going off almost as a surprise so that the gun is in the same position you were aiming when it goes off, but manipulating the reset correctly for fast follow-up shots. And, because we saw yesterday I did a bill drill and my cadence sounded like someone who just shot a machine gun for the first time.
So as far as trigger control goes, there are anywhere from 3 to 5 steps you can break it out into. And I took an NRA handgun class and got the basic NRA certified when I got my concealed carry. But as far as triggers go, there's a lot of people who don't even understand the concept of reset. Like a lot of people, because when they pull the trigger, they immediately let their finger off because the recoil basically pulls their finger off because they're not gripping hard enough or they're surprised. The whole concept of being surprised when the shot goes off makes sense to about 30% of the people that hear it. So you always, just from experience and teaching people, when I teach them the trigger, I give them an empty gun to see if they can handle themselves without flagging themselves or someone else. But as far as trigger controls goes, you have the walk, the wall, the break, the reset, and the fall through. So the walk is, unless you have a 1911 trigger that only has 1/1000th of an inch walk, you're going to experience some sort of walk. Glock walk, heavy and squishy. CZ walk,
left.
a lot smoother, but still heavy, especially in double action. But you have to walk to the wall. The wall is where the sear lines up essentially with whether you're hammer or striker fired, the sear on the hammer or the striker. The break is when they slip. And then the follow through is after that. You hold the trigger to the rear until the gun cycles and the sights come back down. And the reset is where the sear re-engages with the hammer. And it's usually an audible click. That's one thing manufacturers are looking for right now. So if you're at home with your gun right now, clear it, point it at a wall, and walk it to the wall, which not the wall you're aimed at, the wall, the theoretical slash superficial wall that we're referring to. Feel the brake, follow through, hold the trigger back, and make sure your front sight is still at what you're aiming at. Cycle the gun, because it's not going to cycle itself unless there's ammo in it, and then feel the reset and hear it click. That's, if you can do that effectively and put shots on target every time, I think that's probably the best fundamental.
I remember when I first bought the first like actual automatic pistol that I had ever owned, and I sat and just, I didn't do any practical shooting. I didn't do nothing. Just, I sat and dry fired that thing thousands of times, because I remember going to the range the first time I bought it and it was like just all over the place. Like, man, I'm terrible. And I know I've shot Glocks and stuff prior. I didn't really shoot much pistols, honestly. It wasn't really appealing. Now it's all I can care about. But just that dry firing closed my groups significantly down just on paper at a range, not drawing it or anything. And I think just getting that aspect of being able to just, no pressure, point a gun at something and be able to shoot it. You have to hit that before you hit anything else.
I didn't know what a dry fire was until April of this year.
That's ridiculous.
Had no idea. And when I did, I started looking up what the first search on YouTube, because I'm self-taught and everything. I look up video on YouTube and then I try it. I break a few things and I learn. I looked it up, and the first thing that came up was the USPSA wall dry fire drill, and I thought it was the dumbest drill ever. Basically, you basically do what I just described to you, only you go an inch from the wall, because that makes you more accurate for reasons.
Yeah. This comes down to just teaching styles and
Dogma.
Yeah.
Lots of shitty dogma in the gun world.
As long as you can, I mean, honestly, like he said, there's a walk to a trigger. Your trigger's going to move. It's going to stop at some point. There's going to be a pretty obvious break. If you've cycled the gun, it's clear. You point at the wall. When you hit that break, that's that snap. That's the striker going to hit the primer. That is not there at all. And then,
or shouldn't be.
Definitely shouldn't be indoors. But then holding the trigger down and cycling the gun, and then letting it walk back out to engage the sear again. I don't remember.
Yeah, basically, if it's a striker fired gun, when you cock the gun, the slide travels backwards. The home position, as it were, for the striker is down, so it would be striking said primer. So when you cycle the slide back, the sear slips over the sear on basically the disengaging sear in the lower half of the gun, and then when it goes forward, the sear can't slip because it's got a perpendicular face, and it catches again. So that's when it resets. With a trigger, it's a lot more complicated than that.
Regardless,
or hammer fired rather.
Yeah. Regardless, practice. Some people say, "Oh, put like a quarter or something on the end of your barrel."
Also a stupid drill.
And I'll tell you why. Because even if you hold it perfectly still, there's still a tiny impulse, and it will rocket off.
If you have a lightweight striker like in a Glock, it won't fall off. Literally, every other striker gun I've tried that stupid drill with, it'll fall off.
It'll fall off if it's seated on the table, and it doesn't matter. But I mean, if you really need that much of a visual aid, go for it. But I will say, just watch the sights. If the sights move, you're obviously doing something wrong. I mean,
and if you think
simple.
The sights didn't move, they probably moved, and you look harder. Because when I teach people to dry fire on a cold range, they have so much adrenaline going through them, they can't focus. And they're like, "Oh, it didn't move that time." And then to my trained eye, it moved like several thousandths of an inch, which Doesn't seem like a lot at 5 yards, but once you get to 25, you're going from an A zone hit to a D zone hit.
Possibly a mic, but the no, that's pretty simple. I mean, because your dry firing incorporates. I mean, I think the best things you learn from dry firing, at least I do, is transitioning from targets, firing the gun with on site or on target, making sure my trigger manipulation is what it needs to be, and then obviously reloading and drawing.
Yep.
So
that's pretty much everything.
And if you could see where we're in right now, there are targets all over this room, and you can.
My entire apartment looks like a psychopath lives here because there's humanoid targets everywhere.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing. If you can get crazy guns and be a huge, giant, fat ass and still shoot pretty decently.
Matt Hopkins. CZ sponsored shooter. Dude's like at least 300 pounds.
If he's sponsored by CZ.
Top 16 at nationals.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean... And he says it in this book. He says it in his podcast. But
Ben Steger does.
Ben Steger says
Stuger.
Shut up.
He pronounces Steger. So I just anyway, Germany.
Yeah. Like as long as you get to where you need to get to, or get to your next destination. So you shoot and then you move. When you arrive, you're ready to shoot, right? And if you can get to the point in your training when, like he said, like a laser beam, wherever it's pointing, the gun's going to shoot, or those bullets are going to impact where you're pointing at. If you can get there, then flawlessly or near flawlessly, because, Six Sigma and all.
0.00044%.
Exactly. I wouldn't take that literally, but if you can do that perfectly, then the rest of it is just how fast you can get around to getting your gun on target. Now, there's a lot of other things that go into it. You don't have to be crazy fast. Obviously, when you have the green light to run somewhere, run. It's not too particular. But what I'm trying to come back to is he has a setup here where obviously it's not the full size of a match, depending on where you are, but it would consider to be a very tiny match. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter if it's 20 yards apart or 2 feet apart, because you still can say, okay, I would have to reload here, pretend to put a wall up here. It's
and you can see on some of these, I've got blue painter's tape where when I'm aiming with my left hand, it's just one of the other techniques to get good at this is I ensure that I see my dot on my front post before I do any sort of transition away from it, because with the left hand, it's almost like taking a long shot. You got to take extra time to find it because we're right-handed. But that's a story for a completely different podcast. So fundamental number 1, definitely trigger control.
All right.
If you can't put the round on target and score it, you're going to be bad.
You're going to have a bad time. All right. Number 2.
Number 2
indeed. That's a tough...
There's a lot to pick from now.
There is a lot to pick from. Grip, recoil management, body positioning. It's kind of, those are all synonyms in a certain sense, but synonymous would be a better word. But I'm going to say grip.
I say you could probably tile those underneath an umbrella of ergonomics, but you do you.
I'm going to just say grip and I'll let you expand on other things. Your grip is important. Obviously, we go by the 80-20 Ben Stuger rule, where your left hand is gripping approximately 80% of the grip. It allows your right hand to not be too tense to allow proper trigger manipulation. Obviously, if we're going to step it back to bare bones essentials, making sure that your hand is properly placed, that the web of your thumb is placed as high up on the beaver tail of the gun. You want especially the trigger that I have, it has a nice little dingus in there that only allows you to pull the trigger if your finger is coming straight back and not an angle at all. But even if you don't have a trigger like that, you definitely want to make sure that you're pressing pretty much directly in the center with the pad of your finger straight back. You want your left hand to, I like to cant mine a little forward. It kind of straightens what I'm holding in line with my arm. So that impulse goes straight back into the arm instead of more of a kind of a torque on the hands. But I don't know. I'm terrible at teaching people how to hold a gun correctly. I can show you, but I can't like move people's hands. It always terrifies me.
That's literally the preface of Brian Enos's book. Is the number of people who know how to shoot is always going to be like 99% more than the people who know how to teach people how to shoot. Because there's one, mastering the skill to the point that you're good enough to teach people, which there's a lot of people teaching that shouldn't. There's a lot of CCW classes out there.
Those who can't do teach. Yeah, I definitely know that.
There's a lot of people out there that should not be teaching CCW classes. There's a lot of liability with that too. But anyway, I'm just going to Google list of shooting fundamentals, and I'm going to see what comes up because I'm curious.
So we were going to freestyle, but the German couldn't handle. We must plan for weeks. We will march into Poland and have no delays. Don't judge me for my
God,
German
please,
accent.
police1.com. This should be good. Stance.
Shoot black people.
Stance or platform. That's pretty typical. Grip, draw, side alignment, trigger management, breathing, follow through, recovery. So they started with the worst one because most people after trigger control will tell you that your stance matters. I can tell you that it's probably 8th or 9th on the list for me. Grip is number 2 for them, which if I was making a list, I'd put it in order of importance. I mean, that's pretty obvious to me. Draw presentation, that's way down on the list. Side alignment is kind of up on the list. Trigger management, obviously, is number 1 for us. Breathing would never make my list.
Oh, that's literally the last thing on my mind.
Unless it's for rifle shooting, I would never put breathing in for shooting. But this doesn't specify pistol shooting, it just says shooting in general. Follow through, which is part of trigger control, so that's kind of redundant. And then recovery, which I would not put on the list. Most people would go to stance after trigger control. Why do you think that is?
Well, between movies and thinking about, I mean, if you, I don't know, we've shot too much for me to speculate from someone that doesn't know, but you would think everyone that picks up a gun ever, they have a staggered stance.
And they have a picture, people when they pick up a gun for the first time, they have a picture in their mind of what it looks like in the movies, or most girls don't have the upper body strength and impinge at the hips because they can't even hold the gun up. Those are the two different things I see immediately as a teacher.
So are you talking like where your feet are or just stance in general?
Every appendage in your body and what it's doing.
You naturally want to lean back, that's for sure. And I don't know if that's a psychological thing of like, oh, force is coming back and you're
I better get away from said force. Yeah,
exactly.
Instinctual.
I'm sure I do it sometimes not thinking about it. I really try and exaggerate the forward lean. Because I know as things get crazy, that as I relax, I might come just straight up, which isn't terrible.
That's one of the advanced fundamentals that I would put on the list is stance, because as you start shooting fast and transitioning, you have to be able to shift your weight properly. And that's something I've been fighting. Like doing a build drill, if you put a camera perpendicular from your body and watch me shoot a build drill, I'd say 4 months ago, I'd fall back. And then you saw my stance at the Steel Challenge match, the Spartan 300, and you saw my power lean on Globetrotters. I developed that power lean because I realized I was falling back hard, and the only reason I knew that's because I filmed myself so much.
Well, seriously, I mean, I put probably 10, 15 rounds, which I haven't done in a long time, putting 15 rounds in a magazine. And I shot
production.
I shot them all as fast as I could, and I was literally like on my heels. And that I guess that comes into kind of recoil management,
Right.
The deluxe package. But no, your stance, keeping your weight balanced properly when recoil goes off. And you know what? I heard someone he was in the Marines, and he always told me you shouldn't be comfortable shooting.
No, yeah,
I think that's a good way to put it. You don't. And
the athletic stance is not comfortable.
It's not. You're literally preparing for something.
But as far as the top 5 fundamentals, you can have scoliosis and still be a great shooter.
Oh yeah, I mean.
So I think my second pick would be ergonomics and control. So
which encompasses everything.
It would encompass grip. It would encompass you actually knowing how to use your firearm, which encompasses a bunch of things. But if I could summarize ergonomics, it would be being able to, well, one, get familiar with your gun, be able to reach all the controls, because there's a lot of people that go out and buy a really neat, shiny gun like a Kimber 1911 and have the hands the size of a gremlin and realize, wow, I can't reach the slide release or the magazine release. Was this really a great purchase? As basic fundamentals, you should probably buy a gun that fits your hand. Most people overlook that.
Well, I can honestly say I walked into a gun shop and I didn't know anything about pistols, did no research. I know I wanted a gun.
And not a Glock.
And it's funny because the guy briefly tried to steer me towards Glocks, and then someone else came up and was like, I gotcha. And the M&P that I gotta say, it's not.
I was this close to buying an original M&P to do a review on because it doesn't suck.
It doesn't suck. I know you don't like the original trigger. I got used to it though. I mean, it's like anything. If you do it enough, it's not terrible. But I gotta say, coming up on 10,000 rounds in that gun, it's not a bad gun. But
you did have a super death jam in a competition that made me giggle.
That I think that was my fault. But I don't even remember what happened there.
Too much adrenaline. You reloaded. There was a death jam. You panicked, and then the timer went out.
I got shots off before the timer went out. You're saying I panicked like I didn't do anything. I panicked and did too much.
Yeah, you panicked and did way too much.
And I so much that I had 3 perfectly good magazines on my belt, and when I dropped the one that was jamming it, I picked it up off the ground and threw dirt in the gun. Regardless, he's right. Honestly, you need to go to a lot of gun shops, especially where I used to live.
Rentals.
Rent a bunch of guns. Go out with your friends shooting and say, hey, let me shoot those guns. Find something and
find the weird guy like me that has 10 carry guns.
Exactly. Because that's what I did with concealed carry. I went and shot 7 or 8 guns at the range, and then someone's like, hey, why don't you try this Glock 26, which, you can shit on me for it. Everyone online
I like that gun.
And
I hate Glock, and I like that gun.
I know.
And the 34 are probably the 2 best Glocks I've ever shot.
Is the 34, is that the single stack?
5.25. Long barrel, 9mm.
Yeah, well, that's because it's huge.
Yep.
Is it the 43 that's the single stack?
Yeah, that's the baby.
That's too snappy. And I have to say, the new, if we're getting into concealed carry, but the new MMP shield is awesome.
That's a minty fresh gun.
It's awesome. And you know what? The whole second gen, they must have really stepped their game up. But the first gen one, I did not like. I definitely didn't like the Springfield. The Springfield in 40 or 45, it was a lot. And
anything
it was tiny.
Springfield makes is garbage. Changed my mind.
Unless you desperately need to get into the grip zone. But
oh god. So yeah, my second fundamental would be get a gun that you can actually manipulate, because if you don't have the ergos down, it's like buying an AK instead of an AR-15. Why would you do that? The ergos suck.
Yeah, it's
again, argument for a different day.
I mean, it's like it's a gun that they knew they made it for right-handed people, but they made it for left-handed people. Like I don't know. I mean, you could do a little bit of research. The problem is if you end up buying like, say, a Tanfo, a CZ, a nicer gun, you know, God forbid an STI, which the acronym is apt. But anywho, they're just way too expensive, honestly.
And really not that great of a gun.
Well, they have John Wick behind them, so you get what you pay for. Because he's not a real person. Anyway, if you can somehow do some research, narrow down kind of what you're thinking about, and then go shoot them and be like, you know, I really wanted this gun, but this one felt better. Go for it, because you got that leg ahead where you don't have to learn yourself into comfort or something like that. Because my gun right now, it's too small. It's too small for my hands.
Yep.
I didn't think it was because I had no concept of gun size. Now I do. I mean, honestly, if you're just buying, like, oh, this is your first gun, go buy something cheap. Some $200.
Shoot the piss out of it. Learn.
Yeah. I mean, Taurus is not going to be your friend till the day you die, but you're going to learn some awesome stuff on it.
You're going to learn a lot by shooting several thousand rounds through it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to at least, because a gun doesn't really break in. A pistol, striker fire pistol, doesn't break in until, what, 1,000, 2,000?
It's a completely different gun after 500 to 1,000 rounds, depending. And that's the other thing about STIs. They have like 1,000, 1,500 minimum break-in period.
Yeah, so
because they're tighter tolerance. I mean, if you hold my Janik TP9, if you hold the lower, grasp the slide or the upper, whatever you want to call it, and rock it tangentially about the barrel axis, it will rock side to side significantly. You do that with a cheap Springfield 1911, it might do that. With a custom fit Nighthawk, that thing is not moving. All I have to do is look up the slide made up to the lower in the back of the frame. There are maybe 5-10 thousandths between the upper and lower in many places. Whereas with a MIM Springfield or Kimber, there's like 50 to 100 thou spacing in some places.
That's 1/10 of an inch, folks.
Yeah, it's pretty significant. Or like the Remington R1, which I'm not going to shit on because I shot one for the first time. Not bad.
Remington R1?
It's like a $450 1911. $500 for a decent one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just pick something you like. Obviously,
in 9mm because it's cheap.
Yes, definitely 9mm. I won't get into that argument now, but you need to become extremely familiar with your gear. You could get into an argument about cross training if you want to do different guns, but honestly, buy one gun, buy a cheap gun, and shoot 5,000 rounds through it. That's going to go way farther than going out and buying a $1,000 gun
and putting a box of ammo through it and shelving it.
Exactly. I mean, by the end of that, plus if you do adequate dry firing in between.
Oh yeah,
because that's going to make that. Say it's 5,000 rounds, and go get the cheapest 9mm at 115 grain. Just to figure out how to handle a gun, you're gonna end up spending what for 5,000 rounds? Like cheapest
on SG ammo. Shameless plug. You could probably do that for about $200 for 1,000 rounds, easy.
Oh, wait, under that?
Well, yeah, but I'm talking like if you want a plethora of different ammo to try to mess around with, like recoil impulse. And hollow points, because you're going to want to defend yourself with the gun if it's your only gun.
I'm talking just someone that wants to get familiar. Just 115
as
steel case.
As cheap as you can get it. Oh, well, hell, that'll be really cheap. That's like, so whatever, what's $100 times 5? Well, it's going to be around $600 because it's like $130 for 1,000 rounds of tool ammo. So
call it $600 plus
a $250, $300 gun.
Yeah.
Less than $1,000, you can learn a lot.
And I guarantee by the end of that, you'll know exactly where you think you know what to look for in a gun after that. I guarantee it. Because how many people do you know have been like, yeah, I've shot over 1,000 rounds out of this gun.
Outside of USPSA, there are very few people I could tell you that. There's a lot of people that think they've shot 1,000 rounds to their gun, but they've really only shot about 5 boxes.
Yeah, and it's funny because to me, 1,000 rounds goes like water.
Yeah. Well, we shoot over 1,200 rounds a month.
Shut up. Don't tell me that. Don't tell my bank account that. It's funny because I was getting a haircut the other day and I just bought 1,000 rounds online just like that.
Yep.
So we're going to try and tie this back into what the original thing was. And so Shooting Fundamental 2 is, was it ergonomics or was it getting familiar with your firearm? Because I'm going to take getting familiar with your firearm.
I think those are the same thing. If you don't understand the ergonomics of your firearm, you can't get familiar
And
with
once again, dry fire, dry fire, dry fire. You need to get it because A, it's free. It's absolutely free.
Go to Ben Steger's website. Under the drop down, you can see dry fire drills.
Yeah, exactly. And it's free no matter what any FUD Trump loving piece of shit tells you. It's not going to hurt your gun unless it's an old.
Oh God, I forgot about that argument.
Don't worry about it. I would say any modern gun is going to be dry firing. You know what? It is definitely nerve wracking to do that in your home the first couple times. Here's what you do. You clear it 1,000,000 times.
And you clear it in between doing dry fires. You make sure the little ammo gremlins haven't snuck one in there.
Exactly. You just, I mean, if you're concerned, don't even have magazines around there. Clear it 1,000,000 times and check it every single time.
Yep.
I mean, because it took me probably a week to not be like, oh shit, is there like I'd check it, send it home, look down the sights, and then be like, is there one in there? And you know what? That's okay. That's fine.
That's
because
very fine to be like that.
Because once, I mean, obviously, you know, if you live in the middle of nowhere, it's nothing. But that's gonna help you down the line of just being safe in general. Which,
yeah, the extra safety precaution that Ben mentions in his book is if you have a basement, do it because you're just surrounded by a berm.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, think about like I face away from like I live in an apartment complex. So I aim towards somewhere that wouldn't hit someone else's house.
Yep.
It would hit a brick wall, then it'd go out maybe into a field. So, you know, just pretty, it seems basic, but I guess if you have to say it, it's not.
Yeah.
All right. So
fundamental number 3.
Number 3.
This one I'm going to make actually USPSA specific. The other 2 can apply to any shooting sport.
I think I'm going to guess what you think. I'm going to say sight alignment and focus.
Nah. That's important, but I don't think it's going to be on my fundamentals list.
Is this shooting or is this USPSA fundamentals?
USPSA. I mean, with ergonomics, I usually tie in, put the dingus in the front and the U-notch dingus in the back and pull the trigger. That's part of dry fire and ergonomics.
Okay. Well, then any gun manipulation, reloading,
Go on.
gun handling,
Go on.
drawing, switching hands.
I guess you could go through what you do for dry fire.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, so I guess I like to get my heart rate up. I like to incorporate some exercise in there. Just it makes you
Explosive masturbation.
get out of my head. So
Is that what you yell at your penis? Get out of my head.
get out of there.
PG-13. All right.
So obviously you have a lot of targets on the walls, which you could
Yeah.
literally just get some cardboard and cut out mini ones, put them on the wall. I need to do that.
Or just blue painter's tape is how I started.
Yeah, exactly. So that's tough. I kind of wing it. I need to go off what this book says and do a little bit more structured. But I think drawing. So I need a shot timer first of all, because in order to get better at anything, you need to have some sort of metric and a baseline in order to compete with yourself. But I guess if you're just starting, drawing the gun and having sight, proper sight alignment. So getting the gun out of the holster, mating your two hands, making sure that prior to pulling it out of the holster, getting a firm grip on it in the correct position, bringing it up to sight picture while your hands mate in the correct positions, and then having the sight alignment where you were looking at. I think you had said it actually best. It's like a and then when you transfer between targets or target transition, it's like using a computer mouse. You don't look at the computer mouse. You look and then you bring the computer mouse.
Yep, that's a Ben Stegerism.
So then what I'll do is I'll have I just have dots in the wall or tape or something. I'll draw, present, sight, focus on target, and then I'll look at the next target and bring the gun up to it, and then look at the next target and bring the gun up to it, and then go back and then holster it. I'll do that, I don't know, 30, 40 times. And, I'll transfer between, like I'll do 2 or 3 slow to make sure all the motion is what it needs to be. There's no excessive, because like I have a habit, like say reloading, of leaning to the right, like I'm a ninja.
Yeah, that you do. Like you're trying to dodge a bullet.
And you know what? If I ever get in a gunfight that saves my life, I'm gonna come punch you in the nuts.
Going for a static reload and you dodge a bullet.
Yeah. Don't ask me why I do that, but everyone like
it helps to have a buddy call you out on your dumb shit, because sometimes you just don't know you're doing it.
Sometimes you don't know you're doing it, and sometimes you know you're doing it, and your dumb buddy just keeps railing it home.
That'd be me.
But you can't change anything you're not aware of.
Yep. That's why coaching is important.
And regardless, so target transition, because you're going to be transitioning between targets, obviously, and then static reloading. I'll do some of that. A good thing I read in that book was just grab a magazine out of your holster and bring it up, and then wherever it naturally lands, as if, like, not with your right hand, just your left hand, pull it up and present it as if you're about ready to put it in the gun.
Yep.
If the gun was there, that's where your gun needs to be, because that's where you're naturally bringing the magazines to. I like to put at least one snap cap, even though it doesn't really help that much, because those feed lips are just awful and they tend to catch a lot. That's another, it's a muscle memory.
Yeah.
You got to be able to bring it up, reload, seat it, and then re-grip it, and then sight alignment. I can't remember what he said was a good baseline, but
for a reload?
Yeah.
A good reload is when you're using your shot timer with a par time of 1.2 seconds.
That's like crazy good, though.
That's me fast, and I'm very fast at reloading, and that's only because I've dry fired reloading a lot this year.
Yeah.
A decent time would be twice that, 2.5 seconds.
That's fair.
For someone who's never touched a gun before, to do a 2.5 second reload after one dry fire session, I'd be impressed.
Be impressed, but I don't think it's that hard. Especially if you just spent, I mean, you could spend one day doing reloads. I would suggest doing a multitude of things, but I bet somebody, if they sat down for an hour with instruction and weren't, easily frustrated, and could sit down and just reload, stop, reload, stop, reload, stop, you could probably get a 2.5 second reload. I remember I used to put my magazines in the wrong way and ham fist them into the gun.
That you did.
And, I have very cheap equipment.
That you do.
And
I mean, so do I, but mine's like a step and a half above cheap. Yours is like,
it's not cheap, but it's cheaper than nice stuff, and I don't even have fake nice stuff.
That's true. I'm good at finding the fake nice stuff on eBay.
Tactical shit can eat a dick. But
so my first fundamental was very specific. Second one, being ergonomics, is very broad. I'm going to go back to being very specific and saying target transition. Because if you cannot bring your eyes from, whether it's from a draw and transitioning to a target, or from target to target, especially in USPSA, you're not going to do well.
if you can't find the front sight, which if you don't understand the basic idea of sight alignment, that's I don't know if sight alignment is a fundamental necessarily. It's part of being able to control your firearm. But if you can't align the sights as you pull it out of the holster or as you bring it up to your face in most shooting sports other than bullseye, you're not going to do very well. And then Ben talks about in his book, you can suck at drawing. You can suck at reloading because you just shoot a limited gun. You don't have to reload. But if you can't move your eyes fast and transition between targets, the stack up time is ridiculous, especially for like a 32 round stage with X amount of targets. Because you could have a 32 round stage in USPSA, and it doesn't necessarily have to be 16 paper targets. It could be 10 paper targets and an ass load of steel. And you have to transition between each and every one of those, whether you're going to an array of 8 shots and moving to another array of 8 shots and moving to another array of 8 shots and moving to another array of 8 shots and being done, or you move to an array of 6 shots, reload. Well, for production, 2 shots, moving in, 8 shots, reloading, another 6, and having to move between all of those. That stack up of time is a lot. So if you can't target transition, move your eyes and bring the front dot between the post, or the front post between the rear notch, and send that shot in a decent amount of time at a very long stage or even a short stage when the hit factor has to be much higher, so you have to be much faster. If you can't do that, you're going to suck. That's just the way it is. You can be the fastest person on the stage, foot speed wise, and be a mediocre transitional shooter. You're going to be worse than the old guys.
It's probably true.
Because they're more clever than you, and they've probably learned how to transition by now.
If you start early, it will go a very long way.
Yep.
Or just do it.
So I guess you could bundle sight alignment with it too, but target transition and acquiring the target off of like a draw, being able to put your sights on target fast is very important for pretty much every shooting sport. I mean, even trap, clays, skeet, being able to pick up your target and track the sights. In USPSA, sometimes there's moving targets like swingers or sliders. You got to be able to find that sight and track it and move with your target. I mean, that's a very important fundamental. Which reminds me, we need to shoot a swinger because we still haven't done that.
Is it this? Do they disappear or they just move fast?
Some do.
So they'll like go 1, 2 and then stop?
No, they'll swing inevitably for however long it takes. But some of them have hard cover that you can't shoot it through.
Like there's something that's blocking it, but it pops up.
Yep.
Okay. Well, this goes back to us shooting Texas Stars. I track things a little like naturally, and you wait.
Yeah, which is horrible. You should not wait.
Yeah.
You need to be able to track your target.
Because then you're doing mental math to time it up.
Yeah.
I think that just comes from me shooting clays all my life, which is about as fun as writing essays. But
True.
I can shoot a shotgun 3 times and be like, I'm done.
Yep. That was the first time I ever shot a shotgun. I was like, I hit all 3 clays. I'm done.
Yeah, you have more than one projectile coming out of there, buddy.
Not that hard.
Okay,
Skeet is difficult. I'll give him that. Skeet is where there's like the thrower's like 40 yards out and it throws across your sight.
I've been to some pretty. It was a skeet and trap club that had some very interesting stages. It was like golf. I think it was 18 holes, so to say.
That is the textbook definition of what shotgun clubs are. It's golf, but slightly cooler.
Very slightly, and just as many boomers.
This is true.
Oh shit. Number 4.
Number 4, Charles.
Looking cool.
Showing up in your tactical bowling shirt to USPSA.
It's very important to wear entirely 5'11" clothing.
Oh, Christ.
Boots, socks,
Tactical
underwear,
Timmies.
pants. They had to be the stretchy ones. Belt, undershirt, overshirt, hat, rings, tattoo, Monster energy drinks.
Did you say gloves at least twice?
Oh yeah, and bonus points if they don't have any fingers on them.
There you go. And the little knuckly bits for when you definitely punch people in the face.
Hey, you definitely don't conceal carry. Urban camouflage. Anyway,
Did I name my list of fundamentals that I wrote down just off the top of my head? Probably not yet.
no, you listed off what the police use.
So just off the top of my head, trigger control, grip, stance, transitioning, drawing, reloading, aiming, point of impact, and movement.
That's fair. What about just being able to fire strings of shots quickly and on target? Double taps.
Doubles, controlled pairs, as it were, for USPSA.
Hammer pairs for
I
the
think
cool.
that would be categorized under trigger control and more of an advanced look because you can shoot USPSA without having a good doubles.
Oh, I've seen it. I've
Yeah.
seen me do it.
Yeah. I think that'd be more of an advanced fundamentals.
I'm actually really upset because the outlaw matches I used to go to, I did okay and was like, oh, if I train, I'll get better. And then I got out of the small pond into a bigger pond. I'm like, I'm terrible.
And honestly, like I was telling you tonight, I'm high production at this pistol club that we're at unless one other guy shows up who's the national champion. Alex Goot. He whoops my ass. He'll get 100%, beat everyone in the club, and I think I'll be 67% of the points if he's there. He is a monster. Not only is he fast, the one time he showed up to shoot, he shot 100% of the points. Didn't get a single Charlie.
Really?
And some of them were headshots.
What is he shooting? What is he running?
Shadow 2 CZ because he's sponsored
Production?
by CZ. Yeah, he's production. He's production national champion 2016.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Was he at that last match I was at?
No.
Okay. Is he just a giant dick?
No.
Okay. Like who's
Alex is probably the coolest person you'll ever meet. Like he's just a country bumpkin who likes shooting guns. And he's just a nice dude.
unlike Dustin Bluth?
He's a loser.
He's pretty good.
He's a good shooter,
But he's a tool.
but he's a giant tool. And he shoots for Springfield, which is just cherry on the top. Springfield
I'm sure
suck.
if you dump enough money into a Springfield,
Yeah, you can polish that turd, but it's still a turd.
nice shiny one in a museum. Anywho, yeah, I think at that steel match, I went up to him to say something. I was like, "Hey, congrats!" And he's basically told me to fuck off. I was like, "Cool." And never met the guy. Anyway, I don't know. We didn't have a very solid list. That was like was a very loose list, like a list after eating Arby's. He came out in non-solid chunks.
Oh, that was a poop joke.
But there's a lot of helpful information out there. The thing with YouTube is
It's hard to find the good information.
that's what's funny is with the internet, everyone's like, oh, you have all the information in the world, but you have everyone's information, which can be no research.
87% of it is dog shit.
Yeah.
If you look up USPSA drills on YouTube, the first 3 videos are from CrossFit.
CrossFit?
CrossFit did a shooting series. It's fucking garbage.
What the hell? What do they do? Like those weird pull-ups? And then
No, they actually go to a USPSA event and shoot it and know nothing about it, and it offers zero information.
So is it more like, hey, CrossFitters trying USPSA, or is it
No,
like
it's not even staged that way. They just go, dudes who do CrossFit and are renowned for doing CrossFit, go shoot a USPSA match, and it's all marketing wanked up.
oh, okay, so someone's giving
It's
them
like it's like a promo ad.
expensive gear and stuff.
Yeah, basically. And they try and make it like a homey feely situation where they try and like introduce the guys to the guns and do all this stuff, but it's really just a marketing wank ad for CrossFit.
Oh, dude, I don't know if I'd just invite someone to a match. Like,
No,
imagine taking
definitely not. Like
even people that shoot a lot. Like, hey, you want to come do a match with me?
No.
No, that's what I miss about those outlaw matches, because you could bring people to that, and the RO is pretty chill as long as he didn't shoot his wall. I saw someone shoot the wall, and he about had a goddamn aneurysm. It was awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I mean, that's all he cared about. He's like, do not shoot my wall. And you know what? Actually, another time he didn't shoot the wall, but he had targets that were on the ground that you had to crouch under something. And this kid did not crouch under it and just shot straight into the fucking floor. 4 shots.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he was ROing and didn't stop him and was just like, oh man, it was awesome. He has no chill, but you know, whatever.
Back to fundamental number 4.
Well, that's what I'm saying is we covered everything, and we're trying to like label it. We're trying to label a fluid object here.
Well, that's
This is
true.
the 4th
but
dimension.
That's why I started getting more specific to USPSA after we got through the first 2.
We covered everything. The top 3 fundamentals.
All right, we're done. Roll credits.
Man, I don't know. I think if we do another one of these specifically on USPSA, we should write it out and expand on it.
That would be the advanced version. Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, everything, like it basically like his book, but maybe a little less wording and a little more expanding on things that well, shit, it could be a video, honestly. A lot of it could be videos.
Video series. Mike Papakilo YouTube channel, biggest USPSA playlist on YouTube. Believe me, I've checked.
Are you serious?
We have like 30 some videos.
What a weird hobby.
Yeah.
That it's not, well, that's how you know it's dominated by boomers. Like,
Not well thought out or organized.
or technologically advanced.
Practice score is dog shit, but can you imagine if practice score wasn't a thing? They'd be using paper still.
I could just lie.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really upset about anyone pre-internet that got anything done.
You could just lie about it.
You could almost murder somebody, skip 2 towns over, and be the sheriff. Like,
Pretty much.
like, yeah, did you go to police academy? Yes. Oh, cool. When? 2 years ago. Who's your instructor? Dan.
Bill Zarian.
Yeah. But yes, this is a sport dominated by boomers, which is nice because you have a leg up on them.
Because they're old.
Except for financial and years of shooting 45 rounds a year.
Getting that delicious arthritic wrist locked in place.
That's right. Got to get my pension. You know, instead of I want my MTV, it's I want my Metamucil fiber tablets now, Meredith.
So if I had to go into fundamental number 4, it'd be reloading, because if you can't get ammo in your gun after it goes dry, you might as well just throw that thing at them.
That's true.
If you can't feed the freedom seeds into your freedom launcher, it's not going to work.
Oh, I know what my number 5 is going to be, because my number 4 is going to be that too. Production class gives you a disadvantage. That's why we like it, because
Makes you learn gooder.
you can be shitty in some areas and shoot open. Obviously, you're going to have very tough competition because you go against like Kim. You're going to lose, but you're going to be better.
Rikaza,
You're going to be better than everyone at your local range.
Max Michelle, Keith Garcia. He's more of a limited shooter, but he shoots open. And then, of course, the man himself, Jerry Mitchellek. You might as well just pull down your trousers and touch your toes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this comes back to small fish or small pond kind of mentality, where your local range, you walk in with a charging handle on an STI and $5,000 into a gun. you have a little bit of an advantage. Plus, with the 33 rounds you can fit in those base pads.
Yep.
Like, you got to understand, production is 10 rounds. That's 3 reloads.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had to shoot 32 rounds, that's 3 reloads. And you didn't have to reload at all. That's why, or you can be even gayer and do PCC, but PCC sounds like it'd be fun just to do.
I'd like to do it after I get through production and either limited or open.
I think it's one of those things that it would be fun to go to a big event like the Spartan 300 would be fun.
Yeah, the Spartan 300 or the Pro-Am, that'd be cool to run.
Would be
open
fun
or PCC.
as like run 1 open, run 1 PCC, and then run 1 production.
Yeah.
Because then you can kind of like good, better, best, Because PCC is like, I'm going to go as humanly fast as possible.
Yep. It's an open gun with a buttstock.
Yeah, there's 3 points of contact. And they're like, okay, we're going to slow them down with a mandatory reload. You start shouldered at the ready. You realize, like, I can't even fathom, like, what start unloaded or something. Anyway, reloading is important. And then I'm going to tie this into my number 5, which is stage planning. Ooh.
That would be my number 5 is the mental game.
Stage planning, I am not good at. I overthink things.
A lot. And then I have, right before the match, I'll have a little birdie come up behind me and tell me that my plans are retarded. And that doorknobs are non-lickable in other universes.
I'll send you that meme to post on here because that's the most accurate description of a match. Like, you sit there, most of the matches we've been to, I think we've been a little advantaged because we'll go early and kind of snoop around and see.
Which is completely fine.
But
which is why they give you the stage plan in the match booklet.
Yeah. But there's something to be said about walking it.
Oh, it's completely different.
2 minutes. They usually give you about 2 minutes, which sucks because if you're in a group of boomers, they don't move very fast.
The conga line. The fucking conga line.
Like go through the motions of what you're going to do, but do it fast. And then do it in your head because, like, I don't know. That's
something I don't think I've ever heard from Ben Steger's podcast. And if I did, it was just briefly touched on was when they get to a stage, what do they do before they shoot it? I mean, I know of a couple instances where Hoppy Cakes and Ben have mentioned what some instances that they have done in the past to prepare for it. But as far as start to finish, I don't think they've ever gone over it. When I first get to a stage, you read through the list of rules of unloaded start, loaded and holstered, hands here, whatever, and you want to obviously abide by that. Second thing you want to do is make sure you count all of your rounds and make sure all the targets are there because sometimes they won't be, and then you'll find some popper hiding behind a barrel and go, oh, there it is. So you count the rounds. You stay away from the conga line because everyone just wants to jump in the conga line and start air gunning things. That's the worst thing to do because by the time you get to the end, you're like, oh, how many rounds was that? How many targets was that? Where do I go now? Shit. First thing I do is I fuck off from the conga line and I count how many rounds there are. 2 here, reload there, 2 here. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to go through the conga line.
Yeah, there's I don't know. Sometimes it really pisses me off when people design stages the way they do. I get it's to see who is the king of dealing with tomfoolery, but
I got to build a stage once for our pistol club for a Sunday match, and I was like, how can I fuck over open people? I was that asshole.
It's not just open people, but they purposely put a lot of targets where it's a maze. It's odd, it's confusing. It's not like you can't just look at it and be like, oh, I'm going to run here, point A, point B. Some stages they'll have like, oh, shoot from this box, run to this box. Those are awesome. But obviously it's not practical, practical shooting. Sometimes it gets ridiculous, but
this is true. Every time I see a 32 round stage, I'm like, is this really practical shooting?
Like, what is this, the shootout, the OK Corral times 8?
Yeah, right.
But, yes. Well, you sent me a book on tennis, about getting the right mindset for tennis, which I'm not going to read, but
me either. That was just a Tim Herron offering.
Like, how to have the right mindset for tennis. I guarantee that book has some great things in it. I just could not give two shits about tennis. Anyway, the mental game is important. Just like we had joked about, you do all this planning and then you get up to the line and the beeper goes off, and then all of a sudden pretty much everything kind of falls away. It's good to still be somewhat focused. I know we had that one match where I was close to breaking the 180.
Yeah.
But we looked at footage and it was close, but it wasn't like as bad as what's his face was telling me. But
yeah.
I mean, obviously safety is important, but take that into consideration. And
when in doubt, just ask the RO, like, hey, I'm going to engage this target, and if I come in like this, are you going to call the 180 on me?
Yeah.
Simple. Just ask him.
Yeah, be friendly and paste your damn targets.
Oh
like, go out there and...
Fundamental number 6. Don't be the asshole who loads his magazines and stays at the back of the stage the whole time. Go pick up some steel and paste a fucking target.
If you're on deck...
In the hole or on deck, or you just got done shooting, I'll wave it.
Yeah.
Every other shooter that's going, you need to be there picking up brass or pasting targets.
And everyone, like, just do the same targets every time. I don't understand why every time I go places, everyone changes it up. I'm like, just do the same ones. Then we all walk out, do one target, and walk back once, instead of being like, oh, did we get this? Did we get that?
That would make way too much sense.
Yeah, well, it's...
Boomers.
Well, back in their day, they had the energy to do stupid shit like that, but now they're too slow. And when
full of McDonald's,
and when you hit the wrong input on the TV, they just don't watch TV for that month.
What do you mean? I have to be on channel 3 to use the dish?
What are you talking about? Input?
What is this HDMI? And on
Can
that
we do a
bombshell,
podcast just shitting on boomers? Because I could talk for hours. But anyhow,
3 of my uncles are boomers, and they do not relate to normal boomers because not only are they farmers, but they also understand how to run an iPad.
2-year-olds can run iPads.
Boomers cannot.
I can't wait till we're old people, because I bet all of the old people our age are going to be just as terrible. They're going to have everything's going to be made out of lasers.
We also have what is that, confirmation bias, because we're both engineers who are smart and not just intelligent who can make it through school. We have a number of skills. We don't have one specialized skill. That was one thing that the preface to Brian Enos's book was talking about, was if you're good at one thing, you're just an asshole. Once you can teach yourself how to do multiple things, that's when the real learning starts.
Yeah, if you got through school and didn't teach yourself how to learn, you definitely wasted a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many fucking boomers do you know that went out and like graduated high school,
got
barely,
a job,
barely walked in with a tie and got a job and worked there for
40 some
fucking
years.
Like
all of them.
And they're like, yeah, I can, like, they're like a millwright, and they can machine crazy shit with a mill, but they can't operate a fucking TV. I don't understand.
That is the extent of their skills. Yeah, that's something I've never understood as a Renaissance man. We taught ourselves how to TIG weld. We've both learned how to use bridge ports. We both taught ourselves how to do 3D parametric modeling. the list goes on. I mean, we
diverge a little bit, but it's pretty much all the same shit.
We've done. I mean, you're better at musical instruments, where I'm better at like automotive technology. But we have a number of different skill sets. Like, I got good at golf. You got at what? Maybe disc golf.
No, I never really got good at it. I mean, but here's the thing: is if I wanted to, I could. But it's just, I don't know. Disc golf is a fun, like, hey, let's go disc golf. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's it. Because it's free.
Yeah, there's that.
That's why it's awesome, because I bought $30 for a bag and like 6 discs, and that will last me the rest of my life.
Unlike shooting guns.
Which, I mean, $30 in guns is literally like piss in the ocean. So.
This is true.
An ocean of lead. I wonder how much lead is in this lead ocean.
All of it.
That's a Metalocalypse reference.
Well, I think that was a pretty decent podcast.
Towards the end, it is 1 a.m.
Central
not
Time.
in China, but
how long have we gone here?
Does that mean that it's like 1 p.m. in China right now?
Yeah, it's sometime in the afternoon.
This fucker stole my son.
I forgot about that. Gotta shoot the sun before China gets it.
Well, I'm based in my beliefs. Support the troops.
Oh God! And on that bombshell, suck it up and suck my.